Hi, I'm Sonya White Jaguar. Welcome to this edition of White Jaguar Wednesdays, my semi-monthly series where I discuss spiritual subjects inspired by your questions. Someone reached out to me who had just bought a pendulum and they were new to using a pendulum. So what I'd like to do today is discuss some tips to help you get comfortable and confident using a pendulum. Now, in an earlier video, I had talked about how you can ask yes-no questions by using a pendulum or dowsing rods or muscle testing. These are all great tools for asking yes-no questions. I've been using muscle testing for the last 20 years, and I learned how to use a pendulum and dowsing rods in my first Reiki Level 1 class back in 2008 when I was a student. And I have found that all of these tools to be invaluable. I use them on an almost daily basis. So I highly recommend any and all of these tools. As spiritual people, we know that all answers lie within, and we only need to access them to help us. So that's the idea behind using these tools. So what is a pendulum? Okay, if you're not familiar with them, it's simply a weight on a chain, and they're very readily available in metaphysical stores and online. Very often they're made of crystals. This one is moonstone. I also have one here that is made of metal. They're also made of wood. You can make your own. You don't have to buy one. And I also have a necklace here just to show you that you can even use a necklace as long as you've got a decent chain and a weight on the end of it that will swing. That's all you need. You don't have to spend money on a pendulum. So basically what we do when we use it, when we get started, we want to hold it between our fingers and hold it out next to us, and then we program it to show us a yes and no so that we know what a yes and a no answer looks like. So we start off by saying, show me a yes, show me a yes. And so you can see that for me, I get a clockwise spin. That's my yes. And so if you practice with your pendulum and you get a different spin, that's fine. As long as you know what your yeses and nos look like, that's all that matters. So then I'll do the exact same thing for a no. We can stop it from spinning with our other hand. And then we just say, show me a no. Show me a no. And so for me, I get a side-to-side sway for a no. So that's it. Once you know how your pendulum is going to swing for you for yes and no, you can start asking questions. So the first thing you want to do is ask it a question that you know the answer to ensure that you're getting an accurate answer. So for example, I'll ask it to confirm the day of the week. I'm recording this video on a Thursday. So we'll ask it, for example, is today Saturday? Is today Saturday? So I'm getting a side-to-side sway, which is a no, it's not Saturday. So that's good, that's accurate. Is today Thursday? Is today Thursday? And so it's giving me a yes answer. So that's good. I know that it's working. Now, if you get inaccurate answers, there could be a few reasons for that. For one thing, because the body is a channel for the answer, if your body is out of balance, that could affect the answer. So if you're tired or if you're hungry or thirsty, you don't want to use the pendulum. You want to take a break and get a good night's sleep. You want to have a bite to eat. Drink a glass of water, make sure that you're hydrated. And the same thing is true if you've got a lot of emotions, or if you're anxious, or if you have a lot on your mind and your mind is racing, you're most likely not going to get accurate answers. So you want to make sure that you're grounded, rested, and centered when you start asking questions. The other thing to keep in mind too is that crystals hold energy. So you want to periodically clear your pendulum. A very simple way to do that is with selenite. Selenite does not hold energy. It's great for clearing crystals. So just like using, say, an eraser on a blackboard, you can do that with your crystals. So you can just lightly go over the energy and clear the pendulum. You can do this with any crystals that you have. You can also set your pendulum out under a full moon and let the energy of the full moon clear it. Some people like to bury it in the ground overnight and let the earth clear it. You can also fill a bowl with water and put some sea salt in it and lightly clean the crystal using that too. I have a set of Tibetan bowls behind me. Some people love sound healing, and so you can even put your crystals in a bowl like that and play the bowl and let the sound clear the crystal. And of course, if you're a practitioner, if you're a Reiki practitioner, or you practice another energy method, you can hold the crystal and send energy to the pendulum as well. That'll clear it also. And then lastly, I also wanted to mention that if you noticed when I held the pendulum, I was asking questions, I was holding it to the side. You don't want to hold it in front of you because the body emanates energy as well. One of the reasons why we teach the pendulum in a Reiki class is because we can use it to help us to read the body, whether we're working on ourselves or working on another person. We can, for example, like if I just hold this pendulum out over my heart chakra, you can see it starts to spin. It's giving me a yes or an open response because it's picking up on my heart chakra and it's reading the energy of my heart chakra. So we do that in Reiki. That's another way you can use the pendulum. You can test your 7 main chakras, for example. But if we're asking yes/no questions, we don't want to pick up on our energy. We want to hold the pendulum to the side. I'm holding it between my fingers, and I have my palm up and my arm against my side, just so that you can see for demonstration purposes that I'm not influencing the answer. I'm not swinging this, with my arm or my hand. It's responding in response to the questions that I'm asking. So that's the other thing you can do too, is try holding it different ways to see if you get a better response, and try left or right hands too. I'm right-handed, but you can try the left or the right hand. Okay, so what can you do with this when you start asking questions? I recommend that you start with very simple black and white, physical questions that have a very clear yes and no. Now, many people have food sensitivities, so I think talking about things that you would perhaps put in your body or use on your body, that's a great place to start to see what kind of answers that you'll get. So for example, I'll use myself as an example here. So let me ask, does my body have any food sensitivities? So I get a yes, because I know that I do. And we can say, let's ask some questions about some very common ones that people have. Does my body have any dairy sensitivities? Any sensitivity to dairy products? So that's a no. My body's okay with dairy. How about, let's ask about wheat gluten. That's another really common one. Does my body have any sensitivities to wheat gluten? So that's a no. So I'm okay with wheat gluten. How about some vegetables? Does my body have any sensitivities to any vegetables? So that's a yes. And let me ask about cucumbers. Does my body have any sensitivities to cucumbers? So that's a yes. I usually have to be careful with cucumbers because they give me indigestion. So you can see how you can confirm questions like this using a pendulum. This is very, very helpful. This is one of the ways that I first started when I was using muscle testing and pendulums, because I did have food sensitivities, and this helped me a lot from day to day, knowing what I could eat. Okay, so over time, you might want to start asking more sophisticated questions. And I have beside me here a pendulum cloth. I picked this up at the Reiki Center where I work, but you can get these online. They're very inexpensive. This is a very simple one, but you can see that it has more words on it than just yes and no. We've got a maybe in the corner. We have a rephrase, will not answer, try again. So you can try something like this and to see if you can get, a little more nuanced answers. And there are other pendulum cloths out there with even more terms on them than this. I would recommend starting with a simple one like this, and then if you're comfortable and ready, you can get something that's a little more complex. So the way that this would work is you would hold the pendulum in the center, and then you could say, okay, using the pendulum cloth now, please show me a yes. Show me yes. And so it's starting to sway side to side, corresponding with the yeses to the left and the right. Okay, and we could do the same thing with the no. The no obviously is at the top and the bottom. So just hold it in the middle and say, okay, using the pendulum cloth now, please show me a no. Show me no. So you can see it's swaying back to front. And just to show you the example of the maybe in the upper corner, now please using the pendulum cloth, show me a maybe. And yep, it's swaying diagonally corresponding with the maybe. So you get the idea. Now you don't have to use the pendulum cloth, just like in the very beginning, we programmed it with yes and no. You can program it to show you these other answers too. So for instance, show me a maybe, please. Show me a maybe. And so for me, a maybe is a diagonal sway. Okay, thank you. Now let's ask about will not answer. So show me a will not answer. Will not answer. Okay, so I'm getting a counterclockwise spin. So you get the idea. If you're practicing with a pendulum and you notice you start getting unusual spins that you haven't seen before, it might actually be trying to tell you one of these other answers. So this gives you a little bit more that you can play with. All right, so I hope that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or email me at sonya@sonyawhitejaguar.com. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You can also sign up for my newsletter on my website, SONYA'S.com. I have lots more content to share in the future, so I hope that you'll join me. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.